Walter Overculture, you're welcome indeed to another edition of the programme. As always, we'll be looking forward to some more great stories featuring the Irish community right across the UK with Martin Logan. But this week we're coming to you from Castlebar for the 20th anniversary of Rockrose House Mayo Cancer Support. And indeed a number of events have been planned throughout the year to mark this significant milestone. A reception was held in the Bridge Street Bar in the town to announce details and also to create more awareness of the great work carried out in Rockrose House.
The World Health Organization has indicated that Ireland is now the third fastest number of new cases per head of population. And the statistics are that 374 people for every 100,000. That's the number of new cases that are being diagnosed in Ireland currently. So bringing it local, in Mayo, that represents about 488 people per year being diagnosed with cancer. So the incident rates are increasing, that's unfortunate, but the medical treatment for cancer and the services are improving and the survival rates are improving. So there is good news associated with that. Rockrose House plays an important part there in supporting families and people who have had cancer to live and survive with that cancer diagnosis. And those were the aims when the organisation was set up 20 years ago by some concerned individuals. There was an unmet need in our community and they saw fit to set up a support group. The reasons for setting it up are still valid today. We still need that support, as we know, because demand for our services continues to increase. I'd like to thank all the employees, both present and past, who have worked in the organisation over the 20 years, to the boards of management. I'm delighted to see a few ex-board members and ex-employees here as well, so you're all welcome. We'd also like to remember those who are no longer with us. We have a few past employees who are no longer with us. They've gone to their eternal rewards. I'd like to thank Tricia and all our staff and our volunteers for all the work that they do and continue to do and carry out over the last 20 years. It's a great credit to each one of them. We are a voluntary organisation and we depend on the generosity of the people of Mayo for our financial existence. It costs around 200,000 a year to run the show. And we get about 10%, which we appreciate from the HSE, and we also get some reimbursement for services from the Irish Cancer Society. But 90% of the funds it takes has to be fundraised. And we've had a few difficult years in the recent past. Thankfully, we've turned the corner, but we still depend on people organising fundraising events, be they bucket collections, be they cycle events, holding some sort of a function or a dance, etc. Those are all very important to us, and they're very important that they continue into the future. And we appreciate the efforts of people who have done that. So the services that we provide are provided at Castlebar, and we also have an outlet in Ballina and in Achill, and those are important services. And we hope to continue with those and expand them as the need arises. None of us can predict what's going to happen in the future, but we do know that unfortunately cancer is going to be with us and we have to deal with that reality. We do hope that others are working on research and medical breakthroughs, and we do hope that there will be some improvement and some miracle drug that will be developed over the next 20 years, which will put this to bed. But for now, the work needs to continue, and places like Rockrose House and Mayo and other support centres around the country need to continue. And it's important that they have the support of the public. So again, I'd like to thank the organising committee who put tonight's function together and also who are organising other events throughout the year, and thank them for the efforts and for their commitment to Rockrose House. Finally, I'd just like to wish you all enjoy the evening and enjoy the video that you'll see in a few moments. Thank you very much.
My name is Tricia and I'm the manager of Mayo Cancer Support. We provide emotional support for people affected by cancer and their families and friends. Our main cancer support centre, Rockrose House, is located in Castlebar across from Mayo General Hospital, and we also provide 2 outreach services in Ballina and Achill. Mayo Cancer Support is hugely important to the community. I suppose people see it as a refuge in a very difficult time in their lives, and I think anyone that has been affected by cancer knows that a cancer diagnosis can bring a lot of fears and anxieties. It's just indescribable unless you've been through it, and to have somewhere that you can go in confidence knowing that people have an understanding and can help you in a difficult time is a lovely thing to know it's there, and it's hugely important in a community. Approximately 2,000 people availed of our services last year throughout Mayo, and that number is increasing each year. The growing demand in services due to, I suppose, more people getting diagnosed with cancer. But I suppose the main thing to remember is, although there's more people getting diagnosed, more and more people are also surviving cancer, and that's what we aim to promote through our services, is a positive outlook on people's cancer journeys.
My name is Mary, and I'm a volunteer listener here at the house, and I'm doing it for quite a number of years now. The whole idea is that you have sort of empathy with them, in that you know what they want to say. They're looking for, I suppose, somebody that will listen to them, because outside people will avoid the word cancer, if at all. You know, they may not even talk to them about it. So they come in, they talk to us, and then what we will actually do is, some people will be very, very, you know, you'll get the whole story of maybe not just the cancer, but everything else that's going on in their lives as well. Some of them may have a need to see a counsellor, because they would have a lot going on in their head, and certainly it would be outside of what we listen, and that's our job in it. And then we refer them on. There's art, there's reflexology, there's aromatherapy, there's all those things that are available to people, and everything inside of this house is free of charge to everybody that comes into it.
So in my workshops, in Essence of Wellbeing, we look at our mindset, we look at the idea of stress management, our anxieties, our fears, and looking at how to have a positive mindset. That's an art in itself. We look at relaxation, and again, it's the way to do things, how to take care of ourselves, how to spend time on ourselves. And I think taking that step on your wellbeing journey, no matter what it is for you, is so important. Wellbeing is very much part of the daily programme here in Rockrose House. Lots of friendships are made, and especially in the workshops, they're delivered in a fun and a relaxed atmosphere.
I do therapies for people, which include therapeutic reflexology. I do facial reflexology, bioenergy and massage. I'm one of 2 therapists that work here. I facilitate at the end of every month a support group. And at that night, it's usually the last Thursday of every month, we invite guest speakers. Now, the speaker would be maybe on diet, nutrition, how to look good, how to feel well. And that goes on, as I said, the last Thursday of every month. With the therapies, it is very important to get people relaxed, to get them away from the hospital feeling. And when they come in here and they have a therapy, it helps them to balance themselves and to talk without feeling, you know, that it's about their health or it's just to get them back to talking about themselves and how to feel well and good.
Fundraising is hugely important for our service. Without fundraising, I suppose the services wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be able to develop the services the way we have over the past 20 years. And that's down to fantastic volunteers and different fundraising events that have been happening and people supporting them. So without that, we wouldn't be here. Approximately €200,000 per year is needed to run the services throughout County Mayo. And that's raised through various fundraising events such as mini marathons, cycles, coffee mornings. As usually people that have used the services that want to give something back, or their families that see the benefit in the services want to give something back, and they'll organise events. And we also organise events ourselves, and people are fantastic for supporting it as well as helping out and volunteering at events as well. Our services are also provided for children. Unfortunately, cancer has no boundaries in ages, therefore our services are provided for both children, teenagers and adults alike. We have a specific climb programme training that we deliver for children aged between 6 and 12 years of age that have a significant person, whether it be a mom or a dad or granny, granddads, that are affected by cancer. And that programme is designed at helping children with an age-appropriate understanding of a cancer diagnosis and different types of treatments, as well as bereavement as well. So that's run by both myself and one of our therapists here, Jean. And it's open like that, free of charge to anyone that has children affected.
We have 8 members on our board. These are all volunteers from around the county who give of their time to help oversee the running of the house here. So the board of directors' role is to ensure that there is full compliance from a revenue standpoint and from a charities regulator standpoint. Clearly, one of the key items for the board is to ensure that there is transparency any money that we get, and of all the monies it costs to run this house, which is in the region of €200,000 per year, approximately 90% of that has to be fundraised. So that's money donated to us by the people of Mayo to be used for the purposes which we state, which is to run the services in this house. So it's the board's responsibility to those people who have donated those funds to ensure that those funds are actually used for the intended purpose and they are not misappropriated or not spent foolishly on expenses or meals or trips or anything like that. It's used to provide the various services.
So Mayo Cancer Support can be a great social outlet for people as well, where friends for life can be made. And we have a range of group therapies and classes such as art therapy and mindfulness, Tai Chi and yoga, where people come in and they're not just getting emotional support, but they're making friends and having a great time as well while they're here. And we have a fantastic choir, a cancer survivors choir called the Rocks and Roses Choir, and there's so much fun and laughter, and they really, really enjoy themselves when they come in each week.
I thoroughly enjoy it, I do. And you know, if you have had a particularly bad day, we have learned you must leave your worries sort of, or the cares that would be involved, that you leave it sort of behind you. And feel that you've given some solace to the person that you meet, and that they'll be the better of it, you know.
I'm privileged to be the manager of such a vital community service, and I have a fantastic team of staff that work endlessly to make sure that people are provided with the best possible support services in the community, and these services are changing so many lives for the better every day.
A lot of people think, and I thought it at the time, that there may be a date set for your final treatment, we'll call it the 1st of June just for putting a date on it, that will be your last treatment. And that date comes and it's a big day in your life because you're coming to the end of your treatment. And that day comes, you've had your treatment, and this is brilliant. But instead of being fit to take good news, you're not fit to take it. It's down you go, and depression can set in for the simple reason that your mind and your body have been through such a traumatic time as you're not fit to take it on board. And it's down you can go, and you can go into every negative thought in the world can start hitting off you, telling you you're not cured, you think you are. It's unbelievable what can happen if you allow it to happen. And that is a frightening thing, because when you're going through your treatment, you're with doctors and nurses and you're on the phone and there's all the rest happening, and you're they have you in the palm of your hand and they're looking after you. And then all of a sudden you find you're out on your own and you're by yourself, and you think, what about if I get really bad now? And that's where Rockrose House is very important. Now, Rockrose House is there for anybody, their families, sons, daughters, whoever wants to go in. It's all free of charge. But the other thing that's very important when you go into Rockrose House, there are all different types of cancers. It can be breast cancer, bowel cancer, or whatever it is. You go in there. And it can be arranged very easily to meet somebody who has gone through the exact same type of cancer as you have gone through. And I can tell you that I will never forget the first time I met somebody who had been through the same cancer as I had, because I still had a lot of doubts in my mind, and I said, I was just waiting for the next day to come or the next year, will I be back? And I met this girl, and she said, you'll be fine. She said, I had that 6 years ago, and that will live for me forever. And needless to say, we became great buddies from there on. I have sent many people into Rockrose House myself. I deal a lot with people who are going through cancer. And I have sent people in that were really down in the dumps and depression was setting in, and I sent them to Rockrose House. And to meet the same people a month afterwards, and they come up to you and they say, I cannot believe that Rockrose House has done for me what it has done for me. That has me lifted out of this dark tunnel that I couldn't see any light out of, and they have shone a light for me and brought me through it. So I think that Rockrose House is a fantastic thing to have here in Mayo, and long may it live. And again, I hope I haven't you all bored here, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks.
The Rocks and Roses, Henry, are a choir made up of men and women, and they've all had a cancer diagnosis at some stage in their lives. Some of them are more recent, that they're only just finished their treatment, and some are back on treatment, but more of them have had cancer from years ago, and they're not reliving their experience, they're just wanting to be with a group of people who are like-minded. We don't talk about our experience, but we are there to support each other. And at the same time, we have that common bond of singing and having fun with the singing. So how we came about was this time, it was June actually in 2012, myself and Paul Donlan, the oncologist in Galway and Castlebar, we both had this want, I suppose for a better word, to set up a choir for people who've had cancer. So we got together, and Castlebar was the first centre that set up their own choir. So on, I think it was around the 12th of June that year, 60 people came into Rockrose House, and we chatted about what we'd like to see this choir providing for the patients and for the people who come to join it. And it took off from there. We had a great turnout. I suppose we had up on 40 people for the first year. So over the years now it's whittled down to the same 25. But those 25 people are so dedicated. They're there every single Wednesday night, unless they're away on holidays in Lanzarote. But they're there every single Wednesday night. And then when it comes to the end of May, we usually take our break for the summer. And that's like a huge separation issue for us all. So it's a good time over the summer for us to miss each other, that we really want to get back together again then in September. We look forward to it. So originally when we started off, the choir was called the Something to Sing About Choir. And Paul had this vision, Paul Donlan had this vision of setting up a Something to Sing About choir all around the country. So Castlebar set up first, and then Galway set up afterwards. My aunt Rose, who had a cancer diagnosis, I had told her about what we were doing in Castlebar and said to her that Galway would be, the next port of call for a choir. And she set about putting up posters all around Galway city. And by September, she had a nice little group together for setting up their choir. So we did have a few plenaries, which was like when all the choirs were set up around the country, we all got together maybe once a year, and we did a big concert together. And they were lovely, they were really nice. But I suppose maybe 2 years on, we realised in Castlebar that we needed to support the charity that were supporting us, which was Mayo Cancer Support. And we decided that we'd break away from the bigger group and just call ourselves the Rocks and Roses, which derived its name out of the Guns and Roses, definitely. But because we've men and women, and the name of the house is Rockrose House, that's where Rocks and Roses came out of. Well, the kind of music that we sing are just generally the very popular songs, a lot of Johnny Cash, a lot of Rod Stewart, a lot of Neil Diamond. They're songs that everyone can sing along to. We certainly even do a lot of the Irish popular songs as well. One of our most popular ones is Paddy by Jerry Kearney. And that is a really big hit for us, we love to sing it. It is a sad song, but we love to sing it, and it just gets a great reaction from the crowd.
Window he watches as people come and they go on their way, rushing to catch the train homeward, as he often did in his days. He remembers the dark of the morning, and that he worked in the rain. The good times, the bad times, the friends that he knew, he'll never see them again. At night when the streets are deserted, except for the takeaway signs. He thinks of the men that he worked with on the building, the roads and the mines. The girl that he met in the Galtee, he thought he might make her his own. Maybe if there was less drinking, he might not have wandered alone. D is for powerful when put to the test. A is for always doing your best. D is for doing when it can be done. And D is for drinking when working was done. Y is for yearning to see home again. Proud to be Irish and hard-working men. Paddy, remember, though your day is done, you're the rock that England stands on. You could never explain just what happened. Years seemed to pass like a day. Was it the rain or the shovel took the strength from his limbs away? Sometimes he thinks of the boring that led to his house in the lane, and the fields that he worked with his father. He'll never see them again. B is for powerful when put to the test. A is for always doing your best. D is for doing when it can be done. And D is for drinking when working was done. Y is for yearning to see home again. Proud to be Irish and hard-working men. Paddy, remember, though your day is done, you're the rock that England stands on. As he makes his way back to the shelter, rain starts to fall on the ground. A young man just in from Cork City asked him where work could be found. He said, son, take a long look at Paddy and remember whatever you do. This broken old man that you're seeing was once a young fella like you. B is for powerful when put to the test. A is for always doing your best. D is for doing when it can be done. And D is for drinking when working was done. Y is for yearning